All right. In between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our ability to change our response. And when we change our response, that's when we have freedom and opportunity. And I just totally tweaked it, but that is from Viktor E. Frankl. And what I want to talk about today is, I know I jokingly put in the title 5 minutes to change your eating behaviors, but really that's what it is. It's a 5 to 10 minute window between stimulus and response. What is stimulus? Stimulus is, I felt X. My friend was rude to me on the phone. My coworker was a jerk. My husband said something that really agitated me. I was stimulated to emotionally eat, right? Something happened that triggered a response in me to want to go eat. Because you probably don't want to deal with those emotions. You maybe don't have communication skills to tell these people how you really feel in a non-aggressive way, right? So instead of even dealing with it, what do? Our response, typically our reaction to that stimulus, is just to go eat. So you're stimulated and you eat. And a lot of people, I don't want to say they go into a trance-like state, but they kind of do it completely mindlessly. They felt something, they don't even realize they felt something, and before they know it, they're grabbing things out of the pantry. This is why a big mental workout for a lot of my one-on-one coaching clients is to take a 10-minute timeout. And if they can't even do 10 minutes, we start with 5-minute timeout. And what does that mean? It means you felt something, you found yourself walking to the kitchen or the break room, wherever you are that this typically plays out, and you choose a different response. You choose to sit it out, wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes, preferably do something non-food related like journal your feelings, work on a project, work on something art related, work on something that takes your mind off of it. And in that choice, in the ability to take a time out, you give yourself freedom. You give yourself the opportunity to change the outcome. Will it happen the first dozen times or even month or whatever of doing it? Maybe not. Maybe you turn to food, you sit the 5-minute, 10-minute time out, and you still eat. But if you ever want to get completely away from this, you feel something, you eat. You feel something, you eat. You've got to create a physical space between the stimulation and the response, the reaction you have. The only way to do that is to become more aware of your behaviors, be more compassionate with yourself and acknowledge where you are, and say, okay, my goal, maybe your goal is to set the timer for 1 minute. That might be enough of a little bit of a space just to pause for a minute to prevent you from eating right away. And then you go to 2 minutes and 3 minutes. If you find that you can start with 5, great. Start with 5 minutes. Remember, have a list of alternate activities. Make sure that you don't tell yourself you can't eat. That's absolutely not what I want you to do. I have one coaching client, I set up a help video for her. When in the night she wants to eat, she goes right downstairs, goes to the kitchen. I said, here's the deal. Set the timer for 10 minutes. Journal how you feel. Then I want you to create 2 action steps. Then I want you to send me an audio message. Then eat. So she has expressed permission to eat when she's emotionally stimulated. But what we want to start to do is reroute her. So she normally goes from point A to point B on the road, right? A is I am stimulated, B is I am eating. And they're very close together. Think of your brains making these connections, right? They're very close together. Our goal is to now broaden A from B, and in between those 2 dots, to give her other dots to go to. So she is now emotionally stimulated. She would go downstairs. Instead of going to B, the food, now we're going to put in points C, D, and F. C is journal. D is write action steps. F, send Heather a message. Then I can eat. Why are we doing all that? Because where is her freedom? Her freedom is in putting distance between the stimulus and the normal go-to response, which has kept her at a much higher body weight than she wants to be. So, and then putting in other places to go with that. So you can totally start to reroute yourself. You can start to create that space on purpose. You may need to put post-it notes everywhere, set up reminders for yourself. Really, even if you can catch it once or twice a day, if you're an emotional eater that eats a lot during the day, if you could just practice it once or twice and start to create a new route for yourself before you get to the food. But you never say to yourself, you can't eat the food. You absolutely can eat the food. Once you hit points F, G, and C on the line before we get to the food, you're putting buffers in between, because what will happen over time, the more that you deal with your emotions, you create action steps, you actually, give yourself alternate ways of dealing with this stuff, and you physically put space in, there will be times as you progress in this that you find yourself eating less and less. By the time the 10-minute timer goes off, you're like, oh, I'm not as angry as I was. I'm not as frustrated. I'll just go back to work, or I'll go back to bed, or whatever. And that's where the change happens. It's giving yourself a chance to cool off, process your emotions. You should have an emotional eating journal. It's super helpful. And then ultimately, that little bit of time can be the buffer you need between the stimulus and the reaction that you normally have, and giving you a chance to pick a different response. All right, I hope this helps. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.